I don't think that in the summer, for us, all the money that we potentially may have to spend, we're not going to go out there and sign an elite striker. Chris, let's start with your player ratings.
Yeah.
I went on your player ratings last night and I was very surprised that you gave Betto a 5. I might be the only one who thinks that. I honestly thought, okay, he missed 3 gilt-edged chances, which probably inevitably cost us the 3 points. I get all that. However, I thought his overall play, if anything, he was probably second, maybe third in terms of best player on the pitch. Chances aside, I thought Jake O'Brien was probably man of the match, even without the goal that he scored. But yeah, do you want to explain yourself with a 5 for Betto?
Yeah, do I have to explain myself? A player misses 3 gilt-edged chances.
Exactly.
I would have lost the game if it hadn't been for Jake O'Brien.
Exactly.
Some would say maybe he did well to get 5 because Moyes, to be fair, was brought out the positives again. He said, because let's have it right. Beto's he's been transformed, hasn't he, under David Moyes? Okay, he's had to turn to him only because Dominic Calvert-Lewin got injured. He continued with Dom at the start, and then obviously he's been left as his only fit senior striker. Well, 5 goals in the last 4 games. He's been incredible. I spoke to him after Palace. He's a lovely guy. We all love Beto. We all love his attitude. And again,
no, don't love him enough, obviously.
But he gets into he did the hard thing. That was the thing, especially with the last chance, the one at the end. He put the afterburners on and got in that great position. And that's been how he's done so well in recent weeks, as he has been cool in front of goal. He's shown that assuredness. It just wasn't his night last night in terms of all that. The first chance, I thought, made the wrong decision for me. I would like to have seen another of those cool first-time finishes, but instead he almost seems like he was trying to go around the keeper. Second one, at least he tried to do the right thing, but then just wasn't a good finish at all. It's too close to Flecken. And then the third one, probably should have done better again after, like I said, doing the hard work. So yeah, if you miss 3 chances at that level, I mean, that was the problem when Everton went behind. You can't expect to miss those kind of opportunities and not get punished in the Premier League. So yeah, pat on the back on the one hand, he, as Moyes said, he got into those positions, and that's the important thing. He is at least getting into those positions, and that was a big thing under Dyche, is they just weren't creating the chances, weren't getting on the end of things. He is doing that, because you'd often have times when Dominic Calvert-Lewin would hardly have a sniff for 90 minutes. He's getting on the end of those chances, but yeah, I think in the Premier League you've got to take them. So I think, I don't know, like you say, it's a game of opinions, but I don't know. I'd imagine Tony and myself would probably have more support from our viewers on this one.
Let us know in the comments. What would you have given him as a player rating, Tom?
I'd have probably given him about the same. I agree with Bees. Listen, centre forwards, you're there to do one thing: put the ball in the back of the net. And if you're not doing that, let's see everything else about your game. And I agree with you. He's improved over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Totally understand that theory behind it. I think that's partly down to David Moyes playing to his strengths as well. I don't think playing long balls up to him does him no favours. I think what Everton are doing now is getting in the ball behind defenders for him to run onto. I've had a look at his 5 goals that he scored in recent weeks, and 4 of them with 1 touch. I think the second one, the only one where he's used 2 touches was with Crystal Palace, and that was just like to control it, and then he arched his body around to put it in the back of the net. So what that tells me is that when he doesn't think, when he hasn't got time to think, he's hitting it straight away and it's hitting the back of the net. 3 one-on-ones yesterday when he's got time to think, and that's the difference. I'm not talking Erling Haaland, your Mo Salahs of the world, where they're ruthless. I'm talking the likes of Wissa, for example, or Mbeumo, or Watkins, or Delap. Even they get them chances one-on-one, they bury them. And that's the second tier, I think, in terms of strikers in the Premier League. You've got to be ruthless. If you want to win games of football, Everton come away from that game with 3 points if Beto's got his shooting boots on. I understand he's done well recently. I just said, that's my theory behind it. When he's got time to think, that's when panic sets in. I think he's all over the place and he's not assured enough. I think when he's just got no time to think, bang, it's in the back of the net.
People said that about Calvert-Lewin, though.
Yeah, exactly, and I agree. Ideally, do we want any of them to be leading us into the Bramley-Moore? We want a better striker, don't we? I think we could all in agreement right now that we'd want a better centre forwards playing up front for Everton in August at the Bramley-Moore. He's better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's better than Betto. I think we're all in agreement with that.
All right, well, I'm glad you brought that up. So you tweeted last night, this was obviously before the third
missed
chance, so you said, there's the difference. You can't miss 2 one-on-ones and expect to win football games. Ruthless strikers win games of football for your team, which I completely agree. However, this is going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, and it's probably another podcast for itself, but I don't think that in the summer, for us, all the money that we potentially may have to spend, we're not going to go out there and sign an elite striker.
They might not have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's gone. So they'll have to.
No, I'm not saying we're not going to sign a striker. I'm talking we're probably not going to be able to sign an elite striker.
Well, what David Moyes is very good at is finding them players to become elite players. That's what he's very, very good at, David Moyes. Right. See what he's done at West Ham with Jared Brown. No one's there, Jared Brown, when he's playing for Hull. Next minute.
But he's more of a winger though, isn't he?
But what I'm trying to say, he will find players to become elite players. That's what Moyes is very, very good at. He's done it at his first stint at Everton. He's done it at West Ham. And I'll bet me bottoms dollar he'll do it here at Everton. He'll find then players, the likes I was just touched on, Ollie Watkins come from the Championship, Delap was come from Manchester City's academy, Visser and Wayno, they were from the Championship, Brighton, their academy. Brighton have got players that are coming from all over the world. He will find that next player to become the one who's more ruthless, who's better at finishing than Betto, than a Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And that is the difference. That will take you from just keeping your heads above water to the top 6, top 7. And that is the difference between them teams. That's why Ollie Watkins is playing for Aston Villa. They're them players that'll go, do you know what, bang, it's in the back of the net. And that's why Betto, for all he's done well over the last couple of weeks, you've got to finish not one of them out of 3 one-on-ones.
He scored 5 and 5 though.
Exactly. I understand that. By the way, we played against one of the worst teams in Leicester where he got 2 goals. Okay, one was a first-time shot against Manchester United and the one against Crystal Palace. Yeah, and as I've just touched on, when Beto's got time to think, that's when he struggles. He reminds me of a Dennis Strakwalerski or a Marcus Bent. They'll run all day for you and they'll be a cult hero and everything else, and no one's questioning their attitude. And we love them types of players. But at the end of the day, you want to do an end product. And that's the difference between... And David Moyes has referred to it several times. We've got an elite stadium. We need elite players to play in it. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Betto are not elite players.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying that Betto is an elite player. That's not what my argument is. I think there's a little bit of confusion. You're talking about David Moyes going out and getting the likes of Jared Bowen and making him better. I agree with you. I think he could potentially get the next Jared Bowen and make him better. But Jared Bowen's not a striker as such. He's a winger. He will play on the wing. He might be able to play up front, but he's not a striker as in a centre forward, is he? So what I'm asking you in terms of expectation, because my expectation is this: who are the elite strikers in the league, in your opinion, right now? And Chris, you can
Salah, Haaland, Isak.
No, but he's not a striker though, is he? Do you know what I mean? He's more of a
Isak. Haaland.
Isak. Salah's not. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I know what you mean. But
Isak and Haaland they're the elite ones.
Basically, lads who are getting 25 goals a season, who are ruthless in front of goal, their shot conversion is a lot better than anyone else's. Yeah. And that's the difference. They are the big differences in numbers. Getting your shot conversion, scoring goals. And I get what you're saying, they play in different positions. Salah and Bowen, Isak, they're all different. But one-on-one, they bury. You never see Salah miss a one-on-one. If he does, you'll never ever see him miss a second one.
We're never going to sign Isak, a Haaland or a Salah.
But you find the next one. That's what I'm saying.
No.
You find Romelu Lukaku, for example. You go and find that next tier that will make it.
He's the only elite striker we've probably had in the club for the past 30, 35 years. Yeah. So that's how hard it is to find one.
Of course. And that's why the recruitment team are there. That's why David Moyes angles that on his recruitment and his scouting network.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, expectation-wise, like, so every single team, probably in the top 6, 7, are probably going to be looking for an elite striker in the summer. Liverpool are.
Of course.
Man United are. Maybe not Manchester City. Got Haaland. Arsenal are. That's the reason why they haven't been able to sustain the title challenge. Tottenham just spent 60 million on Dominic Solanke. So would you class him as an elite striker?
Not really, no.
So I agree with you.
But he could become that elite striker.
Okay, well, that's obviously just potential. What I mean is Tottenham spent 60 million on...
Chelsea will be in the market for as well.
Exactly. So we're probably going to be like 10th on the list of players who are potentially going to come to Everton.
I understand that, but that's where your recruitment team have got to be looking at the Championship. Going to Manchester City's academy, look at Ipswich you've done.
I don't think you're going to get an elite player from the Championship.
Well, Delap, for example. Delap walks in our team.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but you're saying we need an elite striker?
But that's what I'm trying to say. They will become elite players. Moyes will find them at maybe a young age, or go and find a gem from France or Holland or Spain, and then you'll make them become elite players. That's what you've got to go and do. You've got to find that next level, the ones that, hang on, he's got something about him. I'll coach him. I'll work with him. And then make them to become elite players. I think, like Ollie Watkins, for example.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we haven't even mentioned Ollie Watkins. Is he elite?
He's one of them, yeah. Yeah.
But he wouldn't come to Everton right now.
Of course he wouldn't. But what I'm trying to say is that he wasn't at the time. Signed for Aston Villa from Brentford, from the Championship. Went to Aston Villa. No one said he's not elite. But now, look at him. 50, 60 million Arsenal willing to buy him. Says a lot. No. And that's the one I'm trying to say. Yeah. Go and find them gems, which David Moyes is very good at.
I think what he'll do is, and this is just my personal opinion, he might be wrong, he'll do exactly what you're saying, but he'll find them to play around the striker. I think we'll try and sign a striker in the summer. If Calvert-Lewin goes, we're definitely going to need to sign a striker in the summer, because we'll only be left with Betto and Chimiti. But I think the way Moyes works, he knows that to sign an elite striker, you need to spend big money, and we're not going to have that. And like I said, we're going to be like probably 10th on the list of, players who will want to come to Everton. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does try to sign like a Delap or a Bowen. Like, I know Delap's a forward, but like a Bowen who's more of a winger. Not him as such, but just an example.
Do you know what? It's also interesting. It depends on the style of football he wants to play as well. We're presuming that he may play the way he's playing up front. They're the cards he's been dealt with at the moment with this squad. Jack Harrison probably won't be there. Jasper Lindstrom probably won't be there. Well, so all these players, he's going to go, hang on, well, I don't want to play this way. I might want to play with two up front. I might want to play a 4-3-3. He might play all different ways. This is the way David Moyes, and that's what I like about him. He's flexible. The previous manager wasn't. It was obviously rigid, where David Moyes go, do you know what, I might play with two. We've seen the Merseyside derby. How many teams will throw two up front into the best team in Europe? David Moyes, he went, I'm Doucouré, and I want Betto, and I want you touch tight, and be pressed and pressed and pressed. Not many teams will do that to Liverpool.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, Chris, come in on this, because I think it is a genuine, interesting debate, and it's been sparked after he scored 5 in 5, but he has missed 3 big chances last night. Another case for defence for him, if I'm going to be honest. It's not too critical on the wingers, Harrison and Lindstrom, but what service are they actually providing for him in terms of quality balls? If anything, Betto made a lot of those chances himself, in a way.
Yeah, a lot of it, the passes are coming through the centre, aren't
they? Through Garner, aren't they? And obviously,
it's not the crosses coming in for him. Like you said, even when it was a cross in the end, that was the fullback for the other fullback. But that's been, as you say, Jack Harrison and Jesper Lindstrom are both doing all right and putting a shift in at the moment. But
they've got the work effort there, haven't they?
But both of them, 2 players in the final third of the pitch. What are we now, 2/3 away into the season? They not had an assist or a goal between them. It's not good. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. And with them both being lone players, you wouldn't take up either of those options. I wouldn't think they've done a job. Jack Harrison's done well in difficult circumstances the last couple of years, but he's been probably worse this season than he was the year before, because he scored that great goal against Bournemouth at the start. You think, oh, he's got that in the locker. He's capable of doing that, but not been able to sort of replicate that this year. As much as Lindstrom can be a threat on his day, it's just not quite happened for him. He's doing better now under Moyes, but still, in terms of the striker stuff and all you've been saying then, you can obviously see both sides it really, in terms of, as Toe says, trying to find that next gem. That's what he's so good at. Certainly first time round, he'd unearth those players, a lot of them out in the Championship, Tim Cahill's, Lescott, all these players, the second tier. But it was a bit of the holy grail for him in the first one, in that he broke the transfer record, didn't he, for the club 3 times with centre forwards, with James Beattie, Andrew Johnson, and then Yakubu. And other than Yakubu was great, and then he got the injury, but the others, certainly Beattie and to a lesser extent Johnson, didn't quite happen for him, and it was ironic really, we've been mentioned already. Romelu Lukaku came under Martinez after that, and he says who he's actually going to be able to sort of identify. It just makes me think back to when we had Tony Cottee in here on Goodison Park, my home. He was talking about the modern strikers, because all of us who remember Tony Cottee, he's just all about goals. That's what he was about just a pure finisher, wouldn't necessarily bring you much else to the table. But he was saying the way that modern football is now, there's less of those sort of instinctive pure finishers. I mean, Robbie Fowler across the park was another one. Now it's more like you got to run into the channels, do this, do that. You're more like, an all-round forward player for the team. But you've got that, and then we've mentioned not just Everton, but a lot of teams in the Premier League, including Arsenal, there's elusive search for that kind of player, because that player I don't say it doesn't exist, because as you got the likes of Haaland and those other ones we've mentioned, but they don't seem to be as prevalent in the modern game. So that does probably mean that they're tougher to sort of find, and as you said, in terms of maybe building a team around a striker, with sort of having a few attacking midfielders, or as Toe says, whether you're going to go 4-3-3 or whatever, having attacking players, but not necessarily, the centre forward being the total focal point of the team. So it'd be interesting how that one pans out. But I would think that as well as Betto has done, and he's exceeded all our expectations, and we're glad that he's finally getting a chance to enjoy his time playing for Everton, and Evertonians enjoying seeing him. You, in an ideal world, you'd be wanting an upgrade, wouldn't you, for the new stadium and those increased expectations next season? But that's like the $1 million question, is it? Who actually fills those boots come the summer?
And you've got to forget as well, tend to forget, that Chimity, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out on loan. Calvert-Lewin, obviously contract's up, so what happens? You're left with Betto up front. He will sign 100% a striker in the summer.
I don't disagree. I think a striker will
just
come
finding
in.
that gem.
It's whether it'll be an understudy as such to Betto, or whether we're going to splurge and spend 30-40 million. Because that's what you're going to need.
I'll be all over Delap, mate.
That's what you're going to need.
If Ipswich goes down, I'll be all over Delap. I'm sure Everton won't be the only ones. We've just touched on nearly half the league when I said before, and it's difficult to touch on.
Second, third in the league, whatever.
Liverpool,
they can't sign a striker
Liverpool about
themselves
to win the league.
And they need a striker.
They've spent 80-90 million on Nunes, and he's not good enough.
Exactly.
And that
comes with recruitment, though, isn't it?
Of course, and it all boils down to recruitment. You've got to go and find your scouts. We've seen endless tales, I'm sure Chris will tell you, about how many times Joleon Lescott was watched by David Moyes, who we heard 15 to 21 times. He's obsessed with making sure he gets the right player. And if we have to do that, then so be it. But I'll guarantee there'll be players out there playing in the Championship, playing in all over Europe, that'll be bought this summer, that'll hit the ground running straight away. Now, as we've seen, like I said, Newcastle signed Alexander Isak, they buy him for 40-50 million? They are out there. I'm not saying that we have to pay that, but the likes of Ipswich bought Delap for 20 million. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the market we can get in, get them players to become the elite players then.
I mean, we'll definitely come on to this on future podcasts, but we don't know what's going to happen with Kevin Thelwell and his future. But I honestly would hand Moyes the reign of who he
100%.
wants. Like, no questions asked, because I think we're kind of agreeing but disagreeing in the same way. He would find the gem. I just think the problem is, without repeating myself, to find that striker gem, that forward who's going to get you 20, 25 goals a season. And we haven't really had that up until Lukaku, have we? And we were very lucky in a way to get Lukaku, just in circumstance that he was, wasn't wanted by Chelsea, and he came to us under Martinez. I just think it's the market's gonna be so competitive, and there's just very rarely many out there, and we've already named the ones who you'd say are elite strikers who would score your goal, but you're looking at above 50-60 million.
Again, that's it. We'll touch on it, and we'll probably speak about it in the next 5 or 6 weeks. It's your recruitment team. You'll hang your hat on guys who are scouting, watching these players in lower leagues and all around Europe. And you think about it, what Moyes is getting out of this current team at the moment. Betto, we know he's not the elite player. 2 lone players on either wing. They're not good enough. And he's squeezing out of everything out of them. So imagine with actually quality players. Look, Iliman Ndiaye, for me, is the one quality player we have got in that team. You go, wow. Obviously, Jared Brantwaite speaks for himself, but the one you go, wow, he has got it. And you've seen what David Moyes has done to him. He was under the previous manager. He was playing as a left back. Iliman Ndiaye, that goal against Tottenham was something else. We'd never seen that. Getting the ball on the halfway line, taking 2 or 3 plays on, putting the top corner. That's Alex Young stuff. That's what it is. That's what Iliman Ndiaye is. So imagine David Moyes with elite players to pick from. I think we'll see a better Everton.
I just think a lot of people were quite harsh on Betto last night. I know, everyone's just going to go, well, he missed 3 Gilstead's chances, and that's fine. But the theme, and this is not a dig at you or anything like that, but the theme was people who've kind of written him off in the past were ready to jump on his back a little bit.
And I was first to hold my hands up how well he's been doing recently.
No, exactly.
When he's not thinking, bang, it's in the back of the net.
I think that the thing to remember is that he needs to be judged probably over a prolonged period of time rather than just the 5 games. Yeah, he's had a good start, if you can say that, since being thrust back into the team. But let's face it, I like Calvert-Lewin. like, I like his attitude. I like, you know, the type of way that he plays. And I know he's struggled to score goals, but we've had a striker in Calvert-Lewin who probably went like, what, 19 games without a goal. I think maybe if Betto starts doing that, maybe we can start judging him a little bit more. But let's see how he goes towards the end of the season anyway.